if it's the case, it is the case that through military conflict and warfare, this is a really, I don't know if you guys would call it intersectional, like a really great example of ways in which men definitely had it way worse than women today and historically. I feel like if you are unaware, like for example,
it's not necessarily being unaware. It's like the ballpark of like a few years. And again, I'm like a history, foreign policy major. I'm not like that.
Well, it's not even so much.
I'm not. It's not like. No, I mean, I know the timelines.
but
I know the events. I know the details. So if you're going to be like, oh, when is this specific year? That's more memorization than it is understanding.
But I mean, warfare, and this goes, in fact, even beyond just forced military conscription. Warfare is something that uniquely, and this isn't just the draft, actual war itself is something that a way in which men have uniquely suffered in history. Now, just to be clear, almost all of society suffers when war happens, but men are the primary victims, primary sufferers when there is a war. And so sometimes I feel like people don't have a full grasp of the gravitas, the heaviness of war, and like the suffering experienced in war. And I don't really think, I think a lot of feminists don't have an appreciation for like, and you know, you say, Brian, you only talked about the war thing. Truthfully, you're not going to like this take. You said, well, women have X, Y, Z, and there's 5 different social things where women have it bad, and there's 5 systemic ways in which women have it bad. And I could, by the way, I could list like other ways men have it bad. I actually think if we look at just war, and look, I don't want to do like victim Olympics or whatever. So, what is it? I think that's what the term, victim Olympics. I actually think, as it relates to comparisons between male grievance and female grievance, just on that one, ignoring all the other ways in which men might have it bad, just on warfare, male suffering I honestly think, historically, modern day, orders of magnitude greater than women's collective suffering.
Are you like, okay. So
I get that there's a lot
okay,
of...
so
go ahead.
the violence inflicted upon men, right? So we're talking about war. We're talking about going, shooting a gun, maybe getting killed. And then we're going to compare it to...
thing, but,
yeah, I never said it wasn't bad. And then we're going to compare that to a lot of women who also deal with issues like domestic violence, sexual harassment at higher rates, who deal with childbearing and giving birth.
Well, I don't think that
we're talking about violence, and we're talking about, I guess, the magnitude of things that they have dealt with, right?
I thought we were just talking about the war.
That's what I thought.
Okay, I'm.
No, which I see where she's going.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Women deal with a lot as well. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
So when you say worse, I obviously we can't necessarily like compare. There's not like a perfect way of comparison, but I do think that there is a lot of violence that's inflicted on women that has been inflicted throughout all of history. Whereas if we're talking specifically about the draft, that was certain periods of time.
Well, I mean,
where most
forced military conscription, but I mean, even men who are willing, although I don't, like, for example, there wasn't like World War II movies, or I don't think people really understood war historically. Like, we have access to a bunch of, it's not just like fictional depictions of war. We have non-fictional depictions of war, like actual footage of war, and we have firsthand accounts of people. But like in the 1914 or whatever, I don't know if like a 17-year-old boy from like Kentucky had a real appreciation for what he was going to experience when he went to like the like deep forests of France, like in like the Argonne forest or like the Amiens or wherever. I don't think they had appreciation for like the shell shock they were about to experience. By the way, World War I, completely new style of warfare. There was chemical weapons. Chemical weapons being used. Trench foot. These people were like literally. Do you know what trench foot is?
Ooh, it's bad.
So basically, these men were in trenches, and there was a lot of rain, right? So it was completely wet and cold, and they were in these wet boots that they never changed. They never changed their socks. They were in these wet environments for like days, weeks, months on end. Basically, their entire foot would end up
like rotting.
Basically rotting,
Okay.
right? And so and that's just one like really kind of small component of like the suffering that almost exclusively men experience during warfare.
I think the sheer
And
number too.
So even, I guess what I was trying to get with that is, I don't know if like during World War I, World War II, men going, like the 18-year-old volunteer force really had an appreciation or understanding of like, okay, I'm going to come back with like severe shell shock, severe, now we call it PTSD, severe battle fatigue, as they called it, I guess, back then. So even the volunteer force, but even the men who were forced into military conscription, I think that I don't think women have like a full understanding of the suffering experienced by men.
Okay, but I don't think men have a full understanding of the suffering
That might
that's
be
been
true.
experienced by
Sure.
women. And I think if we're talking about the sheer volume of women that were forced to carry pregnancies at very young ages, and
Yeah, that's bad.
were also forced to get married at such a young age and bear the children, not even understanding, like sometimes they didn't even know really what sex was, or how hard pregnancy can be, right? So
Wait, you're talking about like child marriages or like child?
we could say like 16, that was also happening.
I would feel remiss to not bring this up. Fuck, I don't know.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I'm going to bring up?
No, but I know it's going to be annoying.
Aisha, are you familiar with this person?
Okay, I've done a lot of research on this. That was not the case.
Are you sure?
If you want to go like back in historical records and talk about that, we can do that. I've had certain professors say that it was actually 16. Some professors have said it was 17. And then if we're going to look back in Europe, that also was occurring.
Okay.
We can even get into the age of the Virgin Mary. We can talk about how women in Europe were also forced to carry pregnancies. We're not going to make this like,
Sure.
This is just a Muslim issue.
Sure. To bring it back though, ultimately, I'm not discounting that many, many terrible things do happen to women. There's no dispute there. I'm not going to dispute you at all that there's absolutely ways in which women uniquely suffer and have unique bad experiences in life. But I think what feminism has done is when women and feminists collectivize and say, well, hold on, women have had it so much worse than men, and men are evil, and men are bad, and men are to blame. Well, then you've now opened the door for me to now make an assessment, to make an analysis of like, well, hold on. Let's actually analyze this. If you're going to, as feminists, make the claim, women have suffered more, well, compared to what?
Okay.
Then I'm going to just say, well, okay, then let's look at how women have suffered and how men have suffered.
Okay, so we've talked about the war thing. Sure.
But is
Can
it
you
your
give me more
position-
examples?
I can. One quick question.
Okay.
And I promise you I'll get into those other examples. Is it okay for women to say women, historically in current day, or maybe just historically for some women believe, women have suffered more than men?
Yes, I agree.
And that's totally fine to say, right? Then why would it ever be wrong for men to be like, actually, we think this, we believe this, and here's why we believe these things?
Sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
Well, I guess, so I think it originates almost back to the very beginning where you're like, well, these men, they think that they're oppressed and they think they've had it bad and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so-
And it's like, but we're essentially playing the feminist game, which is feminists are saying, let's view society through female grievance. And then we're meeting you.
Okay,
we're
yeah.
meeting you where you are and saying, let's actually view society. Let's view society through male grievance.